Okay. I need a motion, right? Okay.
Yes.
Move to close the executive session and move to our regular meeting. The executive session was for the purpose of discussing reasonably imminent or pending litigation.
Have a motion from Elder Elder Newton. Commissioner Newton and a second from Commissioner Fackrell. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, we'll go right into our 5 o'clock meeting. Welcome, everyone. Appreciate you being here, all those that are regulars and those that are here for presentations and business. Thanks for coming. And welcome to those that are online. We always appreciate people taking the time out of their schedules to listen to what's going on in the county and get their input. I've asked Commissioner Fackrell to take care of the invocation and Pledge of Allegiance, so we'll turn the time over to him.
Our dear Heavenly Father, this evening we're grateful for the opportunity which we have to gather as a public body and to discuss the affairs of our county and to discuss those things that are pertinent to each one of us in our lives. We are grateful for this opportunity which we have to have a free country and to be able to do these activities that we have. We're thankful for our Sheriff's Department and to our fire and all of the other departments that are supporting each one of us as a public to help enrich our lives and to make our lives better each day. And we pray this evening that as we discuss the items on this agenda this night, that we will be able to do so in a good manner and respecting each other's discussion items, and that we will be able to do those things that are most beneficial for the views of our county and what we need to do. We are grateful for everything that we have been given, the blessings that we are abounding with amongst us. And these things we pray for in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Repeat the Pledge of Allegiance with me, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Fackrell. We have several consent agenda items. Kate, how difficult would it be for you to just share a little bit on
Let's do it from here.
2, 3, and 12?
2, 3, and 12. The county posted. Oh, I'm sorry. Do you want me to do that, or are you asking the question of how hard it would be? Because it would not be hard.
No.
Okay.
If you can do it quickly, that's all I was wondering.
Yes. Resolution CR 2504. The county had a resignation on the county library board. We posted that in the last commission meeting. It was posted publicly. It was posted on our board. We only had one applicant. The library board met and chose to affirm that to the commission. So that would be accepting the resignation of the previous and accepting the appointment of the new library board trustee. The Historical Society, actually it was not so much a resignation, but a end of term for Gwen Rich on the Historical Society board. Her term, just because there was not great documentation, we were thinking that ended in June, and so that was that seat for that area. We only had one applicant. Commissioner Newton can probably speak to that. He was at that meeting. And so the Historical Society Board of Trustees put forth a name to fill that seat. And then what was the last one, 12?
Mm-hmm. The grant, what's that amount?
The GOEO grant or the Phillips 66 fire grant?
It's a Phillips 66 grant.
So the Mountain Green Fire District applied for a Phillips 66 grant. They were awarded $17,000. But then in the process after the fact to issue them the money, they realized because they're an SSD, they're actually not eligible to receive the money directly. So they would need a pass-through. They reached out to the county to see if we would be that pass-through for them. So in order to do that, I wanted to verify that we would not lose out on the opportunity to apply for that grant, and it would not diminish our opportunity to apply for the same grant. We actually thought we were applying for that grant in tandem, but they ended up applying for a different grant, so we may end up applying for it anyway. And so then we're just a step ahead on the paperwork to receive the funds. But on their grant, in order to finalize their approval of the $17,000, we have to have a letter. They have to have a letter from us as the county saying that we will hold that money for them and transfer it. So we would do it if the commission approves. We would do it the same way we did the Mountain Green Sewer Improvement District $1 million grant, where we would hold the money, but we would not issue it to them until there's an interlocal signed from the Mountain Green Fire Improvement District Board that says that holds the county harmless and makes us not liable for any reporting, match, etc.
Okay, thank you. Just for the public information, all the consent agenda items are in the packet. So anyone can get online and look through that packet, scroll through it, look at the consent agenda items, and understand what's going on in each one of those. If we were to take every one of these and discuss every consent agenda item every week, then we'd be here till midnight every time. So that's part of the reason we do a consent agenda items. And so please, if you would, read through the packet. Declaration of conflict of interest tonight. Commissioners?
I have a conflict, and I'm supposed to tell this at every meeting that anything is discussed about the library. My wife works for the library.
Okay. Any others? Okay, thank you. Okay, public comment time period. This is a time for the public to make comments.
We didn't motion to vote on consent?
We do. We need a motion for consent
I'll
agenda
move to
items.
approve the consent agenda items as presently listed.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Newton and a second from Commissioner Blocker. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thanks for that. Kate? Okay, now we're going to give time to the public. If anyone has any public comments, now's the time to get up and use your 3 minutes to share with us. Okay, seeing none, we'll go to our presentations. We're going to have our Deputy Fire Chief Sean Waller and Deputy EMS Chief Erica White come and share with us. Thank you.
So we put together a report for 2024 with all of our runs, calls, and everything fire and EMS related, and we'd shared that. Yeah, it's right up there. Perfect. So we had 683 total calls. Of those, 492 were EMS calls, which is about 72% are medical calls throughout the county. Fire responses were 393. Looking just year over the last 3 years, we have increased the number of calls throughout the county every year. And then going through, it kind of just breaks down by call type. So for the medical calls, you can see there, number one is traffic accidents, and then falls, like kind of a number two. Just kind of some gee whiz type of things there. On the next slide, EMS call breakdown. So this is kind of the important part here. So EMS call times, average page 2 en route. So our ambulance is still completely staffed by volunteers. We do have our paid part-time. They're there during the day that respond as first responders Monday through Friday, 6 to 6. But these EMTs coming from home, they're getting to the station from their homes and leaving the station in an average of 6 minutes. And then they're arriving to the scene about 6 minutes after that on average. If you look at this report, but we have done it for like November and December, if you look at the response times for when our paid part-time is there, We are responding to scene on average about 4.5 minutes faster when we do have people at the station versus when we have our volunteers respond, which just helps overall with the care that's being provided and being able to have that happen faster. Our response goal scene time is less than 10 minutes. What that basically means, from the time we arrive on scene until we decide that this is when we need to go to the hospital or they're fine, we can leave. We like that to be about 10 minutes, and we're about 12 minutes right now, 12:42. Next one is also kind of interesting. If you look at the next slide up there, ambulance response locations. Morgan City, actually 227 of those calls were in Morgan City itself. The next highest is Mountain Green. So those are our two big call volume areas, and then you can kind of see down from there. Morgan County in general, that's where we're kind of out, not really in a city, maybe on the freeway. There's not a city assigned to that location. That's that 83. And then from Porterville down, the numbers get smaller. Next slide over.
So where is the dam included in? Porterville?
So that is all the way up at the dam. That's Morgan County.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
So-
we do have Porterville goes up to right before the dam, and then after that it comes through Page to Morgan County.
Mr. Chair, may I ask a question?
Sure.
Is there a chance that you could, in the future, that we separate out one more item? I mean, you've got it in the county,
Yeah.
but have anything that has directly to the reservoirs, the recreation areas,
Yeah.
separated out, because we're needing that for state information.
Yeah, we can definitely do that.
Thank you.
Our report maker is Carson Porter. He's one of our EMTs that puts this together. We can just make that request to him.
Thanks.
That's good.
Yeah, we probably have the data, it's just not
Yeah.
in the report, but we can get that to you.
Thank you.
I just had a quick question. So Weber County, is that you assisting Weber County on?
Yes.
It is, okay.
Yeah. So sometimes if we're in the canyon, right, that gets a little bit, mile marker 91 right there, where it switches. Sometimes the accident happens right before or kind of right over the line, and so we'll respond, and vice versa. They do the same. That's generally, or at the top of Trappers Loop is another place that happens. Shift responses, the next one over. So ambulance 121, that's our first out. That just tiny number to the right of that, ambulance 122, that number's 24. That's 24 times where both of our ambulances out at the same time. So generally speaking, we just have the one, they're able to come back and go again. When we do have that second out, we're having to grab whoever happens to be around, right? That second crew to be on as backup for those 24 times that calls happen to go out. And we've already had 6 of those this year. It's been a busy month. And the hospital data down there, that's just where we've transported to. We've generally split between the Katy and Ogden Regional. Being equidistant, we go based off of patient preference, generally speaking. That's the majority of those there. The next one, the EMS stats. We just kind of put in there like our busiest crew members. So for the year, like there's some of these people that have went on upwards of 170 calls, which is quite a bit. They're out there helping great, which is kind of awesome. And then average patient age. Busiest days is also kind of interesting to look at. Monday, Saturday, Tuesday, and Thursday are kind of our busiest overall. But what do you want to say about the fire side?
Yeah, pretty much the same data. If we go to the next slide. Traffic accidents is our busiest call volume. No surprise that I-84 is busy, and then weather causes a lot of problems for us on the freeway. Numerous traffic accidents, snowy weather. And it also breaks down the call volume on the next slide, where majority of the incidents occur. Obviously, Morgan City is the busiest area for us for fire responses. That sums up the 2024 run review for us. Any questions?
I just have a question. So on the Mountain Green fire locations, is that actually Morgan
Which page are you
responding, or
looking at?
the one you're on, page 9?
The last one, the locations, that is
That's
just
mutual aid.
that's mutual aid.
It's mutual.
Yeah, so if we have a fire response in that area, Morgan County also responds. We send a fire engine, ladder trucks. We help each other out. So
Yeah,
vice
so it's
versa.
things like that.
And thank you for all you do. I've been a first responder, so you guys are awesome.
Well, thank you.
Erica, you're not done yet. Could you tell them about your CPR classes and things like that that you also offer right now?
Right. So we do offer CPR first aid classes to the general public. We also offer them for children, teenagers, kind of babysitter age. We make them all age appropriate, right, and price them as such. So you can do it for certification or simply for the information. All they have to do is call the station, and then they can hook them up with one of us instructors. I'm an instructor. We have two others. We teach through the American Heart Association. But we do a lot of, like, we call them the babysitter basic type class for the younger kids. I just taught one last week, and that's just kind of helping anyone age 10 or 11 and older kind of get to those basic skills for that CPR and first aid so that they can help like, specifically at home with their kids or if they're their own siblings or if they're babysitting. So just kind of helping to teach the public so we can get those things, those skills out there to more people.
And if they're wanting to sign up for those classes, how do they do that? That was a hot topic on Morgan Moms this week.
Right, it is. I saw that, and like usually people will tag us. The easiest way is to call the station, and then a message will be left, and then one of us reaches out to them. We are not currently scheduling. We're scheduling out monthly classes, but they were hard to fill, just because we would choose a day and time, but it didn't necessarily gel with whoever else was wanting that. So we usually get 4 to 10 requests per month. So we'll chat amongst those people, find a date and time that works for most, and then hold a class.
Okay. And Sean, we get a lot of comments from the public of why do we see our fire trucks out but not necessarily the cherries on? Can you explain that?
Yeah. So, first, thank you for our new fire engine we got. You probably see that driving around town quite a bit. So it's a new vehicle, and all our firefighters are training on that vehicle. They're learning how to drive it, operate it, know all the switches and the controls. So while they're driving, they're not distracted trying to figure out how to operate that vehicle. And then because we have part-time employees, that crew changes by the day. So you might see it every single day of the week as a different crew is operating that vehicle and training on it and learning how to be most proficient with the new vehicle. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, can I make a quick comment
You
before
bet.
they leave here? So I got involved with the fire and EMS 6 years ago when I started as a commissioner. And as I recall, at that time, we had about 300 calls a year total. So I just want to point out to the commission that the number of calls has tripled over the last 6 years, annual calls. And this team has really taken that in stride and done a fantastic job at keeping up with the volume and really commend the work that's going on at that station. There's some amazing people doing just wonderful things, and I, for one, am very proud of Morgan County Fire and EMS and appreciate what you do. So please take that back to all of your volunteers over there that we really appreciate them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair, quick question. Joe is here from the airport. He was wondering if anyone had any questions. You can say that to portfolio. He's happy to wait. He just saw that there was a bunch of commissioners interested in his portfolio assignment, so he wasn't sure if anyone had questions. I don't know if you want to wait until action item 2 or if you want to do that right now in presentation.
Why don't we do it right now in presentation?
Come on up,
Go ahead, Joe. Anybody that have any questions on what that portfolio looks like?
Want to just give us a rundown on
Sure.
what do you do all day?
Nothing.
Oh, okay.
Anybody?
Okay.
No.
Lisa's
Um,
honest.
I manage the day-to-day operations at the airport, tie downs, leases, keep pilots from fighting with each other. Not a lot of day-to-day stuff. Manage the grounds, and then manage the leases as well as doing the invoicing for everybody at the airport.
So last year, Robert McConnell was your portfolio. So what would you normally do? What would he do with you as your portfolio assignment?
Usually we talk about grants and improvements at the airport. That's the most common thing. You know, what can we improve at the airport? Is there anything that the airport's lacking? And there was some discussion about an airport advisory board. Anyway, that hasn't happened yet, to my knowledge. So.
Can you give us an update on just a quick update on the fueling truck or whatever that's supposed to be going in?
Yeah,
Is
the
it
fuel
go-
station, we have the concrete for, like, the slab. Conduits in for the power. And then they didn't get to the ramp yet, like the transition between the ramp and the concrete pad. There's about 5 to 8 foot void there that needs to go in. And we missed the opportunity for the last paving, so it will go in this spring sometime.
And it's the fuel above ground, right?
Fuel is above ground, double wall, fireproof tank. So, ballards are in protection. So it's getting close.
For the edification of our new commissioners, can you tell them when you're leaving us?
2 years.
1st to 26.
Oh, that early?
No, I'm
She's
not. I
pushing
want
me
him to
out.
stay.
I thought you said you weren't leaving until I left.
We talked about this.
I know, and my term's not up till the end of 26.
Sorry.
So we,
His boat's gonna
I
be
would
ready
like-
before then, huh?
Look, if we have one more hurricane down in Florida, that is the time to go. I'm serious. So that's my plan. I want to be done January next year. So 20 years is long enough at the airport. So
Okay, any other questions?
How often are you, like, meeting with your, the commission or commissioners that will be over that portfolio?
well, we used to meet once a month when we had our airport advisory board. But that's been some time since that's got dissolved, so then me and Robert discussing whatever needs to be discussed.
And you did say that there'll be a new advisory board being installed, or that's kind of a goal?
It's up to you guys.
Is that
That's
something?
we
we've
haven't created
we've
one yet.
started that.
Okay.
You guys started that, but I don't know if it's how far along. it is.
That's the one that my dad was part of years
Of
ago.
course.
Okay.
Yeah, your dad was great.
You want him back?
Huh?
You want him back?
He was great. I mean,
My mom
100%.
might send him over there all the time if you want him back.
He was with it. He helped us. I mean, we'd have the airport events. He really liked to help with that.
Are you having the events this year? No?
That's a lot of effort.
Okay.
So I used to do,
Advisory board.
we used to do a lot of those on military days and that, and it was quite the undertaking. It was pretty neat to see all the little kids and climb around the airplanes and the trucks and all that. And you guys that was a great thing. It'd be neat to kind of see that come back, so
Yeah.
we need a good advisory board up there.
I mean, the best year we had 300 people show up. The best year. So we had airplane rides. We had not technically an air show, but we had some demonstrations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Anyone? Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, we will then move to item F1, honorary Corey Stark, Sheriff. Honorable, sorry, not honorary, honorable.
All right. So we all know we're paying $30,000 a year now to the lots. Kind of looking for some direction. We were thinking maybe possibly putting something up by the search and rescue building. You know, we've already got heat going to that building now, so maybe we put another little building next to it. Some cages in there. Contract out for a vet. I don't know. Or do we want to wait till Mountain Green Veterinary Clinic opens up and see what they want to charge us?
I mean, is that something we could reach out to the owner of that
I already have.
now? Is he wanting to wait, or would he be? wanting to-
She just doesn't know what it's gonna. She's interested, but she doesn't know what it's gonna entail or what it's gonna.
I mean, doing the math, because they said, 55 animals, I believe, last year.
I think it was 52. I think they said 56, but I think it was actually 52.
So we're spending about $500 per dog to have them housed there, whether they're there for a day or a month. It's expensive. but I know there's not a lot of other options, so I don't know.
We have no other options.
I mean, unless Corey wants to have you got an officer retiring soon that needs a retirement plan?
Nobody with 20 acres.
I've talked to a couple of people that would be interested that I told them to watch for the RFP coming out, so.
If
but
we don't build our own, we've got to do an RFP.
I'm
right?
all for, I think it's a lot of money.
It is.
Sorry, we're having trouble with the YouTube connect. That's why you're gonna see a bunch of weird screen stuff.
I did have a question though, Corey. It seemed like when Jason came in to present that, I don't remember, somebody put it, he came in hot. He seemed very, very passionate about it, and
Yes.
a little bit contentious almost. I don't know if
Have.
Is there an issue there? Like, is there a rub there?
I have
that we
I
should
have
be
no
aware
problems
of?
with him. I went in and told him that we're all having a little bit of issues with them. I mean, heck, we was paying what, $13.50 up till 2 years ago, and it jumped up to $2,000. Now they want to go up to $2,500. I says, yeah, we're just having a little bit of issue with the price. I says, you guys want to raise my taxes? You want to do all this? We're gonna raise your guys' price too. It's not gonna fall back on us. It's gonna fall back on you guys.
It's too bad he's taking the school district tax increase out on the county.
I told him.
We haven't raised his taxes. But regardless, I just wondered if there was an issue there because he seemed very.
I talk to him every morning. I have no problems with him whatsoever.
Good.
So do we
You
have
can
any
too if you
kind
go to
of
7-Eleven.
do we have any kind of a price per animal if we had to ask them to take over the veterinary stuff, or like if they have to take care of an animal? Is there a price within that, or is it in addition to the $2,500 a month?
No, it's just that is the cost of it. Unless
He said it was included.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's included. The only thing I have done is I have paid. We had a couple that wanted to adopt a dog, but they wanted it neutered first, so I did pay for that to get done.
Okay.
So.
But that
what I
came out of
saw
Maddie's
on
fund,
there,
That come
didn't
out
it?
of Maddie's fund,
Shot
yes.
was this was this. I saw,
It was itemized?
yeah.
Well, that's interesting.
the
Because
contract.
he said when he was standing up there, we take care of all their vet stuff as part of the fee. But it sounds like, well, we don't have a current contract.
Does it
That's
show
part of the problem.
euthanization? Does it show anything
They
like
don't.
that?
They don't charge us for euthanizing them.
And what about shots and things like that? I just saw this list of things that on top of what?
We've never gotten billed for any of that.
I noticed in the bill there was another one that was a $250 bill.
Was that for the neuter?
Besides the $2,500.
That was for the neuter. That was probably
That-
from the neuter that I paid for
Oh,
out of the
okay.
Maddie's fund.
All right. Okay.
Is there anything that we do to, and I shared this, I think in the last meeting, I can't remember who I was talking to. So where I used to live, one of my dogs got out and he ended up killing some of the neighbor's chickens. So I went to the neighbor, I says, can I replace your chickens? What can I do? Da, 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 da. Well, I end up going to the city and I'm just like, here's what I did. I went to the neighbor. Here's her letter saying that I come over. They still charged me $25 per chicken that she never got. So is there anything, like, I still had to pay the fine and per chicken that my dog got out and at large, plus the fact that he spent a night in prison. And so, in his bail and everything, I mean, it cost me like $600. Are we doing that to these people that,
No.
I mean, I'm wondering how many other entities, like, if your animal gets out, you need to be responsible for your, I mean, accidents happen, just like my dog, but I still had to write the check. Why, is that something we want to discuss, that if your dog gets out and the county picks that dog up and it killed a sheep or whatever, or chickens, or bit a kid, that's your animal.
You pay the
And-
$500
and
fee.
You're gonna pay to get your dog out of prison, and, that way it's not a full $2,500, like, it's just an impact on us. that-
So one thing that we discussed, because I always get involved in the dog bite cases, and that's where there's a discussion of dangerous animal designation and so forth. So I've worked with the animal control officers, and what's been communicated to me is that in addition to what the county pays, the resident or the dog owner also pays an impound fee when they go pick up their dog. So
Is that
so
for-
that is being charged already in addition to
That
what
fee is
we-
being paid to River Valley,
correct.
and they're retaining that, I assume.
They have to come in here
That's-
and pay here as well.
Yeah, so, well,
They
they,
are paying a fee
they
here.
pay an impound fee to the county, and they pay an impound fee to River Valley, but that's separate from what the county pays.
But they are coming into the county and paying to get their dog out.
Yes.
Right. They have to pay that to the county before their dog's
So I'm kind of curious, like,
released.
what are we, I mean, if we're trying to offset some of this cost, it's $30,000. Are we charging like $10 or $50 or $100? Do we know what we're recouping?
We charge
Then we can
less
kinda see what
than
it's-
the vet. I know that. I can't remember the exact details.
just-
But we charge a lot less than that.
We charge a lot less.
So he's, in addition, he's making an impound fee.
That's my understanding from talking to the animal control officer is, I think, let's see, well, I'll pull up the code. It might be $50 a day or something that they pay to us. But
It's
then
30 yeah, it might be 50.
maybe, anyway,
There-
but
there's a lot
theirs
of them
was
will-
more than whatever ours was.
There's a lot of times we actually waive some of them fees, and it's not have to, or it's because some of these people, if we arrest them and they have no job and they're moving somewhere else and they have no money to get that dog out, we don't want the dog.
So what is his impound fee for? I'm just trying to understand this.
I would
If
have
we're
to find out if
paying
he,
him to
I would
keep
have
the
to find out
dog,
if he
what's
actually
the
is
impound
taking
fee?
money.
Why is he charging an extra fee on top of it? And if he does, shouldn't that offset what we pay him?
My understanding is he is not. He told me he is not. He says, I have nothing to do with your customers. They deal everything with our animal control.
And I might
I
have
will-
misunderstood.
I'll double check.
Animal control,
Okay.
but that's what was communicated to me, because they were saying, well, what can we do with our fee, but we can't do with his fee.
Via a person that had their dog.
Right. And I think the hard part is too, when the dog is put down because of a dog bite, they still have to pay. And so it's kind of like taxing attorney services for divorce cases. It's kind of the misery tax, they call it. And so I think that's why sometimes the sheriff waives it. It's like, okay, yeah, your dog's gone, but you still have to pay the impound fee. I think, that's within
You're
the
miserable
discretion
enough
of.
with the dog.
And I totally support
Yeah.
discretion, and I mean, leave that to you guys. Like, this is a hardship case, and their world's falling apart around them. Just give them their dog.
Yeah, I mean, they get very emotional about their dog too. Like, those are some of the most passionate people who call my office about what's gone on is with their animal. It's like, okay, yeah, that's
Family
part of
member.
your family
Right.
is how they're
So
treating
the major question is, because our last task in the last commission meeting was to do an RFP.
Yeah.
Do we want to RFP to create our own space out at the search and rescue building, not the rentable building, but the one behind it where we keep all of the sheriff's equipment? Being that we already have animal control staff, the deputies while on shift can go and check on the dogs, et cetera, and 9 times out of 10, that's what
So
they're doing.
that's how
It's
they would
housing.
feed them.
Yeah.
those
Or
that
do
are-
we want to go down the path of finding another contract, or do we just want to keep this one where we sit paying month to month and
Do you have to get a
The
kennel,
RFP until the
kennel
end.
permit too?
Yes.
Does the county?
in this?
No, the county does not.
Which I think our office wouldn't.
We don't have to permit ourselves. We can do what we want. We're the county. We don't have to get a permit from ourselves to create a kennel.
But that was one of our biggest struggles. Is Sheriff
No,
Stark
not
went
a
out
permit
and
to build. I'm saying a permit.
kennel license.
For somebody
Kennel
to
license.
do
No,
that.
because we would approve that. It's a conditional use permit, and the county doesn't.
Okay.
so
Those don't apply to us. We just decide we're going to do
So
something. we do
I
it.
think
Like
it'd
the
be
school
great to
district.
get a bid on building
okay.
6 things
I don't even think it would
myself.
take 6.
One question I'd throw in there is also, when we have an animal that comes in, if it were to get sick or whatever, does the county, if we're running it, do we now accept the liability of that? Now that dog died in our care, is that a liability that now?
I
we
think
have to
it
accept?
does fall back on us, but I think we also contract out with a vet. I do have a couple vets that said they'd be willing to come up pro bono
Okay.
and check on these animals monthly or weekly or whatever.
And that was just, things
I
going through my
suspect
head,
that the
like,
liability would come back on us whether it was at
True.
lots or with us, right? I mean, I don't know, Garrett. maybe
Yeah,
you
I
can-
think it would, and it would just be how we handled the situation. What did we do anything to contribute
Were
to
we
that? Were we
negligent?
grossly negligent? Were we?
Another
Partially.
compounding factor of what put us in this situation is in order to have a kennel license here in Morgan, you have to have 20 contiguous acres. I don't know anyone that can afford 20 contiguous acres and turn it into a dog kennel. So
Actually, there is one in the county.
there are. We went to all of them
Yeah, there's a few of them.
and asked.
Got a hold there. I think there's
Have you-
5. I've
did
got a
you
hold of
talk
most
to
of
him?
them. There's a couple that I didn't get.
Did you get a hold of Colton?
And that's the
Oh.
thing is, they're either
You might
have
want to.
somebody's prize poodle and they're not going to mix that with some
Right,
stray
'cause
animals.
they've already got a
or
kennel
they're,
up there at
it's a
their
kennel
house.
license for the intent of breeding and they don't do housing. So
Yeah, we may want to check into that one and see if he's.
I don't feel comfortable putting my animal control vehicle going up that hill. So
I agree there.
Corey, is this something you want to take on? This is extra for you and your
It is
team.
extra, but I think it would save the county a ton of money. Maybe not in these couple of years, but I think a couple of years down the road we'll be saving a ton of money.
And I think we also could go and, like I mentioned last time, and I've talked to somebody about it for starting up a nonprofit organization that basically let's farm out these animals if we can't find the owners, let's farm them out until we can find an adoption program, basically.
I'll say they're 97%. We already know who the owners are. We've either booked them into jail. They've got to do their time.
Well, as
there
long
and
as you
so
know
on.
where they're all from.
Or we pick them up on the side of the road and we know who they belong to, where they bit a kid and they have to be quarantined or whatever.
Okay.
Do you foresee needing to add a little salary cost to cover this, either to the animal control officer or elsewhere?
I think it would be more to an animal control officer, maybe we got us maybe a part-time eventually to come help.
I mean, it'd still probably be cheaper than $30,000 a year.
I can agree.
So what I'm hearing is the direction is to build an RFP off of a structure and not a contract.
Well, you don't need an RFP for that, do you?
It's
To
going to be more
build
than
it.
$600.
Not gonna be more than 5,000, is it?
I don't think so.
Is the code the county code for 20 acres or?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a key.
It's that it's a conditional use permit and it's currently allowed in the A20 zoning and larger.
Is that something we can change?
Yeah.
We could. Do we want to? That's the discussion. The reason it's in that is because the thought process is if you put a kennel in a residential neighborhood, you're gonna have a lot of complaints of barking and noise and smell and whatever. So that's why it's in the larger parcels, because presumably it's further away from the neighbors.
We may not need an A20 zone. I mean, you may have somebody that's got 6 acres.
And it might make
10
sense in
acres.
RR5 and RR10. I don't think I would
I wouldn't go under.
suggest RR1
No.
or less,
No.
but
I wouldn't.
But it
either.
opens it up if it's 10
But,
instead
yeah.
of 20.
potentially.
Because, I mean, they might be in the A20 zone for part of the property, but not all of the property.
Well,
Could be.
then you get back into the same thing about, you got these people breeding golden doodles and whatever else. They don't want these stray
Right.
animals bringing whatever.
Right, but
you know,
they
so-
may have it sectioned or
Yeah.
ability to have it sectioned off. Or,
They do, or they're gonna give us an RFP for 25,000, and in which case, we're still probably better off to operate our own,
I think it's worth trying to look at other avenues beside, I mean, I like the idea of us up here at the home and contracting with different vets or whatever to come up and take care of them if needed. It's just like we do with tires and auto mechanics, we go to the different vendors to get the best price that we can or whoever is available. Why can't we do the same thing with vets? I'm not saying that lots aren't probably the best anyway,
I think it's really what's the cost? This doesn't hurt anything to find out what's the cost
No.
to
Let's do that.
where we're going to be at. I think so.
I think you'd at least need to ask a couple of contractors, what we need, what it's gonna take,
They looked into it. I think it was back in 2008 or 9. They looked into it and it was going to be too expensive when they started looking at all the OSHA rules. And is that what it was? In 08?
That was to
building,
build
or you
an
building a
entire
new courthouse, or what?
It's actually the building that we have more. Everything's and some of the stuff's in there.
Gotcha.
Okay. So is that the marching orders then? Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right, thank you. Thanks, Corey.
Appreciate it. We are going to take a 5-minute break before we get on
Thank you.
item number 2.
Is that as far as we've made it?
Hmm?
Is that as far as we've made it?
Where's your headshot? Is it hungry? No, it's Dave's. It's Dave's truck. You don't work for me. What's going on State Street? Yeah, let's put it on Facebook. Yeah. Can you train on something less expensive?
Yeah, older vehicles.
Yep, let's do that. Yep. He seems like the perfect driver for a brush truck.
What's that?
He seems the perfect driver for a brush truck. Just really cool.
What's that?
He gets attention.
And then looking terrible here.
Dirty words right there.
Did you say dome?
Mm-hmm.
Dumb project.
That's a cuss word in this county.
You're gonna need 2 of those.
I know, I need to restock on your,
One is what? What's his favorite?
My pig nips.
Oh.
Because they're so healthy.
They are figs.
I'm so confused. I did change the 48 to 24 on the next agenda.
So do we have something we can look at, Kate? Does he have something he can pull up? Brandon. Okay. Mm-hmm.
If you guys need a week or something.
Is he in the hospital right now?
Who is?
What kind of fall?
Tonight?
broke his hip?
So why are you here and not there?
Especially when he's 91.
It's young. He's working on it.
Mr. Chair, I was informed of a correction to our discussion about the kennel. It's a conditional use in everything down to RR5. So RR5 and above does allow kennels as a conditional use. It's a C2, which means it goes to the Planning Commission for approval. So if
Cool.
you do have a neighbor in the RR5 or R10 that might be interested in that, something we could discuss.
Does that mean that somebody that is in an A20 but has less than 20 acres, are they still eligible for that, or you have to get it rezoned?
They'd have to get it rezoned. Well, that's interesting. So it's just zoning and sufficient acreage, right? To meet the zoning, the underlying zoning.
Jeremy always gets mad at me if I'm not speaking to the microphone.
Doesn't sound like it's working anyway.
Okay, so I could have sat back there.
Turn it
So
on.
if you have,
Turn it on, it might not be
it's on.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
If you have RR5, but it's a 2.5 acre lot and it's a legal developable lot, then you're entitled to everything in the list of entitlements. You just have a non-conforming lot per size. So it is possible to have a smaller lot with allowed zoning.
Okay.
Okay, good.
I wonder if the Scotsman Center would be interested.
That's something I think we ought to go and ask people around, put the word out in the county. Anybody interested in it? I don't know. Like, you guys know the code. I don't.
I mean, if that's the case, then we ought to put together a fee.
Yeah.
And send it to the places we know how kind of.
Because there might be people.
So
that
could
are-
we look at both options, an RFP and the cost to renovate to do it?
I would.
Sorry, we're
We'd say put-
revisiting the last action item.
I'd say just
think
put
it's
out
a
our
good idea.
options and have people even present some kind of an option to us.
Jeremy, are you able to drive? We're struggling with the P. Can you? No, I need
No.
page 89.
So I wasn't trying to take it upon myself to just throw everybody on whatever.
Oh, 88. I'm
We
sorry.
tried
Thank you.
to, Kate and I tried to go through this and not make it such a long process tonight. So we took and tried to make what people asked for, both in being the principal person and the A alternate. Jeez. So that's what we did. It looks like I did a good job on mine, though.
Right?
Short of
I do have, there are two missing on it. Not just one. Within that one you did, this one here we're looking at, there are two portfolios that are missing. Now, if we combine those portfolios, then I don't know where they're at.
Okay, so what is missing?
The economic opportunity.
Is under Commissioner Blocker.
No, it's not.
CEO,
Community and Economic Opportunity.
Economic opportunity, that's what that is.
Oh, there it is, okay. And, okay, I misread it. And then the active transportation for Wasatch Front Regional Council.
They don't call it that.
It's not on,
Just the transportation.
it's not the transportation. That's a totally different one.
I swore we
We did.
did.
Hold on.
But it's Wasatch Front.
But I might not have put it on
Station.
this sheet, is I think what he's saying.
Oh, okay.
It's
'cause
not
I-
on this sheet.
Because
That's
I
all I'm
remember
saying is-
us talking about it.
Okay, I'm sorry, which WFRC is missing?
Yeah,
The short
WFRC,
term?
active transportation.
Active transportation. Yep. So he has Blaine as member, Raylene as alternate. And I will add that to that.
That's different than ATAP.
Yes,
Correct.
That's different than AT. It's a WFRC responsibility.
So hopefully you've had a minute to look at them. I'm happy to take a couple more too. It's not obviously said and done, other than I did tell the Weber County that Commissioner Blocker was on that board, so probably ought to leave that one. Have they reached out to you? Human Services, Weber Morgan Human Services.
So you're on it and she's on the board?
They wanted
They
to.
wanted to, yeah, I talked to him when I went to that summit. He said they needed two on the board.
Okay.
And to answer your email, there's, according to the COG governing document, there are 3 voting members. That's why there's 3.
I did have a conversation with Andrew Gruber at WFRC today, and one of the things he mentioned is that a lot of the commissions have, if they're 3-member, they have all 3 on the COG, and the ones that don't typically have those who are not part of the COG as alternates, so that there's always somebody there. So
Okay.
that may be something to consider. I don't know if we need to do that or not. That was something he mentioned.
So,
I would love to be on the airport, just, it's in my district, my area, and I know, a lot of neighbors that are there, and feel like I'm their representative, just a thought there.
okay. Anyone else have any?
You've got 3 on the audit committee.
Correct.
How
That's
come?
Because we said 2 to 3.
The what?
We said 2 to 3.
Okay. Didn't know if that created a quorum.
Well, we have to notice it anyway.
Okay. Right.
Um,
Why do we not have an alternate on the E CEO?
Because I'm the alternate until 2027.
I'm
Just
just
like
worried
Josh is
about-
the alternate on WFRC, CDBG.
Which one is? Josh
Josh
is.
is, and then we have a civilian on the health department.
Yeah, that's Cheryl Allen.
Yeah.
So the chamber had previously requested that all commissioners be a part of that.
Correct.
I don't mind being on there, but their meetings are typically at a time that I can't be to.
8:30 in the morning.
That's not a good one for me to
Okay.
do. So if somebody else wants to take
Okay.
chamber, go for it. But that's probably not a good one for me.
chamber. No.
The rest I'm currently on and fine, well, with the exception of the library, but I'm fine with that. That ties in with the Historical Society.
So I pretty much
So,
doing just anything that had early morning on in school. It's like, that kind of ties me up. And with the airport, just with, my son's a pilot out of it, flies up there. And just, being on the airport a lot and kind of knowing how it runs, that's one of the reasons and kind of relationship with Joe and that, and just.
So Vaughn, you'd like to do
I
airport
would
as
like
well?
to stay on the airport, yeah, just, that's kind of like.
That'd bring mine down one more. That's not bad.
I was thinking of another one for Vaughn.
Take one of these.
What's that?
I was thinking of another one for Vaughn, and that is the COG.
I'm on COG.
I know, but you be the voting, and I can be the
Voting.
There's 3 voting.
So,
on the
There's,
COG.
right now, there's me, Raylene, and you are voting COG.
Okay.
Any other one, Vaughn, that you had a issue with, that you didn't want, or something that you,
I'm just trying to think about the times. I was looking at it before on the times. I mean, I'm happy to try anything, and if it becomes an issue, I'd be.
I know, one thing that would be good for Vaughn, just
No, I'm
because of
open
your,
to
because of
thoughts.
your time commitments and stuff. Nothing against Raylene. UAC is normally, the UAC board is in the evening,
Oh, gotcha.
and so that one would be easier for you to get to, but if there's anything during the day, Raylene can handle that.
I've been going to all of their policy meetings,
So have I.
lots of them today.
Yeah.
so
I didn't make
is there
those.
something on yours, Raylene, that you, Commissioner Blocker,
That I
that you don't want that's on there?
It's hard to say because I haven't really done any of them. But if I had to get rid of one, maybe the water feasibility study.
That's
What does
for
that
your
entail?
area.
What is that?
That's
That-
brand new.
That's something
That's
we haven't
brand-
even
we
put
haven't even
together
put
yet.
together.
Okay, so then it's my area, then I like to be involved with stuff in my area for sure. So, good job, looks good.
I think one nice thing about, you know, as we talk about things that are, you know, if it's, like Mountain Green has a lot of stuff going on, and up by the state parks, you know, Croydon and whatnot, as we move around different parts of the county, kind of as I think about different areas, it's like, then you get to know those areas too. You get to know what those people, you know, like I live over in Melton, so to be part of things in Mountain Green, kind of get a feel for those people, you know, what they're wanting in their areas, and, you know, up in Croydon and Richville, Porterville, and, you know, it's nice to get out and talk to those people that you're not neighbors with, you don't see them at church or at functions and whatnot. And so,
No, that's true. I
you know,
like that.
I do kind of like that, because it kind of, I mean, as a contractor, I get out, I talk to a lot of people, and it's kind of interesting how over the years that, you know, how they feel about their area and how passionate they are, that I don't understand where they're coming from, you know.
Yeah.
And I do the same thing with my students. I don't know what it's like to live in West Valley City. You know, tell me, what are your problems? What's the issues, you know? And so it kind of gets you out and about and get to meet other people and what's going on in their little
No,
world,
I
part of
agree with
their
that, but I also have to remember, like, my district.
No,
Those
absolutely.
are my
That's
constituents that
absolutely.
voted me in.
I agree
So
with
I'm,
you.
you know, representing them.
Okay, so far I've only seen, or received 3 changes, right?
You could take the
Oh, is it
audit
third?
committee if you wanted.
I have Mike not on chamber and Raylene wants airport. What's the third one?
Vaughn wanted to be on the airport, but he already is.
I'm already there. I was just saying I'd like to stay on the airport.
Okay. So you're saying, Commissioner Blocker, I could take audit committee from you? Is that what you're saying?
Sure.
Okay. I can do that.
You were already on that, right?
I was. I'm back on it.
And then are you moving airport to Blocker?
The 2 of them can do the airport then.
And Vaughn, you can be primary on
Oh,
that
no,
if you want.
I mean, no, I was just saying, you know,
And then who's
You're welcome,
primary
Vicky.
on chamber?
Hmm?
So Mike can't do chamber. Someone else can do chamber?
I'll do chamber.
I can do chamber too if you
You're- I
want. I'm
think you're
already
on
there.
there.
You've got an awful lot, Commissioner Fackrell.
I've got way too much, but at
Then
least
what-
it's now
which ones do you want to
alternate.
get rid of?
Alternates are the ones that I figure, okay, Raylene's gonna be at most of all these WFRC ones, so I'm an alternate.
you're
I
l-
won't need to even be there. But then I'm down to hardly anything. And you and I are on the Weaver River, which they had a meeting a week ago, which I did not attend. And there are normally 1 or 2 meetings a year, maybe 2 or 3 board meetings a year that are good to be at. And they're during the day, normally at 9 o'clock in the morning. So, but I think that would be more of a Weaver River where we, you know, like you used to have the one with BYU, where you worked with their students on that thing. And then I've been working with them on the recreation part of it. And I think we can just work together on it.
So is there any that you want to get rid of?
I will do whatever you guys want me to do. I'm alternate on most of it.
Okay.
There's really not a lot on extension. If anybody wants to take
I guess
over
there's only
anything.
2 then. And you just took care of 1.
Yep.
I think
And I went to the chamber, so
Did
that's
you
0 now,
take
right?
8 UAC off of me, or are you keeping that on there?
I didn't take that.
Okay.
Did you want
I didn't know if Vaughn wanted to be the alternate. Of course, he's got a big list, so.
I'll say, we can start trading, like I'll trade and raise you, I'll take the UAC and raise you a Public Works. No, like I said, my biggest thing, I'm happy to, if things become like I can't make the meetings or whatever, because it's a certain time, then I think we can have a discussion or whatever. and
So that's why we've tried to put
Yeah.
some primaries on everybody and some alternates on
And
everybody.
I think that's good.
I agree.
Okay.
I mean, really, I like the idea of the primary and alternate, because then it's not just one person involved. It's like you can spread the workload, and, I think
Which I
I
appreciate.
like this in the way I've seen it in the past. I think it'll be good.
So that'll be on our next meeting to,
It's on an
Okay.
action item tonight, so you tell me.
we're gonna do it on our next one.
Okay, so
Finalize it.
okay. So are you good with, after I made the changes, excuse me, are you good with me putting this in the packet after the changes are made? It would still say draft, but.
As long as it's draft, yes.
Alrighty, got my marching orders.
Okay. Number 2 down. Number 3, Josh Cook.
In December of 2024, the County Commission adopted the new group homes text amendment, which fixed our code, brought it in line with the state requirements for group homes, and removed the section labeled residential facilities for handicapped and elderly. It was pointed out at that meeting that the land use tables had not been updated, which was my fault. I dropped that ball. I apologize. And so with that, staff brought forward this text amendment to add in group homes to the land use tables and to delete out the residential facilities for handicapped or elderly portions of the code. There were 3 land use tables that needed to be updated. In each of those tables, we deleted residential facilities for handicapped and elderly, and we kept the conditional use permit level that was there, and we added that for group homes. So for instance, in the ME 160, F1, A20, and rural residential districts, we deleted residential facilities for handicapped or elderly, we deleted the entire line, and then we added group homes, and we just kept the C3 level. There is one additional table that we're recommending be deleted, more for housekeeping. The table that included dwellings, internal accessory dwelling, recreational dwelling, residential facilities, single-family dwelling. Somehow, American Legal, when they were putting together this small portion of the table, was copied and pasted in the commercial section. So it's just a housekeeping. We caught that. We just need to delete it out and moving forward. Staff presented this at the last Planning Commission meeting. There was no public comment. There was very little comment from the Planning Commissioners, and they recommended approval 5-0. With Chans McMillan absent, and Maddie Maloney was on Teams. Debbie Sessions, I believe, didn't vote as she's the chair. Staff is also recommending approval.
Okay, thank you, and thanks, Kate, for including those minutes. That was very helpful. I like that.
It's great that Judy had this ready. Thank you.
Kudos to Judy. I don't know how she did that.
I move we recommend approval
Oh.
to, or not.
We
that-
got discuss. We're going to discuss.
It's a public hearing.
See, any questions first?
There's a public hearing.
And then we need to move to public.
Sorry.
Any
Sorry.
questions for staff?
I don't know.
Anyone?
You could make that motion for public hearing now. If you'd
I
like.
am with you on.
Gonna make a motion to go into public hearing.
I make a motion, we go into public hearing.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner, second by Commissioner Fackrell. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we are now in public hearing. No? Okay, I'll look for motion then.
Okay. I move, we recommend approval to the county commission.
We're gonna go out of public.
Oh,
Out of
goodness. Okay, I'm not making that motion.
I move we go out of public hearing.
I second.
Okay. We have a motion by Commissioner Fackrell and a second by Commissioner Nickerson. All in favor?
Aye.
I,
Any
Also,
opposed?
sorry. I also
Okay.
noticed that I left a word in there that should not be left in. You're not recommending approval, you are approving. It's been a while since I made that mistake,
Oh
so
my
I
goodness.
apologize.
that would have embarrassed me even more. Now?
No.
Now.
Okay. I move we approve to the county commission of the group home code text amendment based on the findings listed in the memorandum dated January 21st, 2025.
Will you amend that just a bit?
You can.
Well, you went and said that you wanted to approve it to the county commission. We're not approving it to the county commission.
Okay, I move we recommend.
Nope.
No.
Just
No.
would just approve.
Just approve.
I move that we
So I just wanted to help you
Approve.
with that.
the group home text code amendment.
Sounds good. I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Blocker and a second by Commissioner Fackrell.
I said
All
that
in
wrong.
favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Josh, is it you or Jeremy's gonna do it? Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good evening to the commission. Application number 24.071 is the Love rezone. The applicant is Adams Love, and the location for the rezone is approximately near 860 South Morgan Valley Drive, which is approximately 3,000 feet south of the Young Street Y. The current zoning on the property is an overwhelming amount of A20, which is an agriculture zoning district, with the general plan designation reflecting agriculture. The total acreage is approximately 40.52 acres. The map doesn't necessarily reflect the line that actually was drawn for the Planning Commission, and I believe a parcel is being left out of the applicant's request. And so the updated parcel numbers and serial numbers reflect that change in the summary, in the summary of the staff report. And really, the request for tonight, Mr. Chair, is to extend the tunnel zoning that stops short of the applicant's property, skirts around, leaving only A20 behind. And so the rezone request is to, again, extend that tunnel zoning so that the applicant can enjoy the benefits that their neighbors enjoy of having a split zoning designation of RR1 in the front near the county right-of-way and A20 towards the rear of the three parcels in the county. And to reflect that change on the future land use map to show a similar split zoning designation of from agriculture to rural residential 1 and agriculture. Staff has conducted a review of the request. Staff has met with the applicant for almost 2 years, and it was recommended that if the applicant was going to develop, solving issues with frontage would happen by means of a rezone, and so they've selected the tunnel zoning as their request. And that is the request before you tonight, Mr. Chair. The Planning Commission met. It was a rather exciting meeting. The public showed up from the Richville area to voice their to voice their concerns. The applicant talked about a misunderstanding with staff that there was a rezone to RR1 completely. That was not the applicant's intent. That was miscommunicated, and so it was honed in their request to do the tunnel zoning and not RR1 completely. I believe that assuaged a lot of the fears from the Richville area, and the public comment mainly reflected support for the applicant in wanting to develop more than they could with the current entitlements, but not an overwhelming amount of development in the Richville area to have a large subdivision of dozens of lots. That said, the Planning Commission again heard this item at their regularly scheduled meeting on January 9, 2025. With a vote from that commission going 5-0, unanimous, with Member Maloney present digitally and Member McMillan absent from the meeting. Otherwise, the staff is happy to answer any clarifying information you'd like to hear. Thank you.
May I ask a question?
Yeah.
Okay, on that, you've got the separation there between the two areas, and what is that area that's in no man's land that has? Yeah, you've got that.
That
comes
that
down.
right there.
Yeah, that one.
I believe that's a survey error or a parcel GIS map error, which will be fixed once he surveys his property.
Okay, and when he's going into this RR1 zone, or he wants to move it into an RR1 zone, it's currently A20, correct?
Yeah, the entire
whole thing.
property is 820.
Okay, so that even that little portion there. That,
Yeah.
okay,
And-
so when you put it all back together, are they going to take out? I mean, enough, like an acre and a half for each lot that they want to do, if they want to do that, or is it? I mean, the zoning, because you've got 820 for the back part, but the front part is RR1. Is it going to just be restricted to RR1, or are they going to extend it back just a little bit?
The Planning Commission defined the extent of the tunnel zoning to be 250 feet deep, 200, and then along the entire frontage of his property. So once the survey is done and they can show that nebulous island, and somehow fix that, it'll be along the entire frontage of those lots.
Okay. All right.
And then he didn't express any desire to divide immediately, just wants to be able to build a home up there and maybe a couple homes for his kids.
All right, because I was just wondering if we're going to just do this the tunnel zoning that you see throughout the whole county, if it's going to extend back into the A20, so that way it gives them enough property to do what they need to do.
It'll extend 250 feet back into the A20 along the entire frontage of the property, similar to what is directly across the street.
Okay, that's all I need. Thank you.
Jeremy, I'm not very educated in this. Would you mind explaining tunnel zoning to me?
It is a split zone designation. That's another technical term, but on all of those lots, it was like a broad brush stroke was painted down Morgan Valley Drive and Highway 66, so that you have the existence of both RR1 and A20 on a property. And we've already discussed. Josh has clarified that there was 250 feet as a standard that was thrown out, and so that checks out on a lot of the parcels present there along Morgan Valley Drive.
So the reason 250 feet was chosen is because 250 times 200 is approximately 1 acre.
So have 1 acre of R1 zoning.
If you want an answer that talks about the reasoning for it, you might want to call Debbie up and have Debbie
I'll speak
talk
to that
about
for
it.
a minute.
Or Mike. Yeah.
I know some of that history. So this actually goes back to the 1960s when Morgan County did not have zoning. And when they established zoning districts and zoning, they took broad strokes and tried to make what was existing fit with the zoning regulations that they put in place at the time. My grandfather-in-law was a commissioner at the time and helped establish the zoning in the county, so that's how I have a little history on that. But essentially, they went through the whole county along the main corridors. So this exists, if you look at and the tunnel is essentially that dark green that you see all along the map there. In most cases, it went both sides of the road and back 200 to 250 feet along the road. This is actually the first, Josh, that I've ever seen. In 12 years of doing this, I've never seen us have a rezone that included tunnel zoning and wasn't a whole parcel. So this is interesting. I've never seen us do this, but I mean, it makes sense because the tunnel zoning, you can clearly see it stops there just to the south of Young Street, and then it picks up again just down there by oh shoot, what's that? Richville Lane, just before that. What's the name of that? Anyway, but that's why it exists that way. It's not a normal practiced zoning standard. In fact, every one of our zoning administrators that I've had the pleasure of working with, when they come in, they look at that and shake their head because it's not normal. Typically, your zoning district is a block, more of a square area. In Morgan County, we have this strange 1 acre stuff all along our main arteries, but that was why, because they had homes on smaller lots along the main roads, and they tried to make it fit.
Thank you.
Commissioner Blocker, if I may add, we don't ask for the applicant's intent on how many lots they hope to build or what they hope to do with their property when we conduct a review, but if we just kind of looked at it objectively, then we could measure approximately 1,200 feet of frontage from the southern part of the property to the northern part. If I could actually, from here to here, it's about 1,200 feet. So in A20, that's 330 feet of frontage that they're required to have for a lot in a small subdivision or in a subdivision. But if they were to rezone and have have RR1 tunnel zoning with R1 in the front, that would double the amount of parcels they're able to get.
Isn't R1 at 200 feet?
That's what I mean. It's so instead of 330 feet, it's 200 feet of frontage.
Basically 4 homes, or 6 homes.
It's a
If he
range because we get in the dirt and start finding what the real subdivision could look like.
I was
out
going
of
to say,
plat
have you seen that
process.
Slopes are going to
It's
stop
pretty
that
Yes.
pretty quick.
And there's a
Well, the
ditch that runs
potential-
right through there.
Yeah.
He said in the meeting, he's like, I don't want neighbors. I'm trying to get away from neighbors. And so, because,
To build a home.
yeah, he's like, I just want to get away from people. So,
Thank you, everyone. Now I know he's not building a tunnel.
Yeah.
All my research of tunnel.
He might be building
tunnel
a tunnel.
zoning. It was all about a tunnel.
it's gonna come out in
He
front
might
of
have to take out half the mountainside and build the tunnel, or even put a home on it.
Glad to have those questions.
You might
and
have to
define
tunnel
term.
under the ditch to get up to his house.
Like yours. Okay.
I'll move that we go into a public hearing for action item number 4.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Newton and a second by Commissioner Fackrell. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we're in public hearing now. If there's anyone that would like to come up and share. Okay, I'll look for a motion then.
That's the first time.
Move to close the public hearing and reconvene the public meeting.
Second.
We have a motion from Newton and a second from Commissioner Fackrell. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Honorable Kate Becker.
Nope, we
No,
need to
we gotta
make
get
a
a-
motion on this.
Oh,
I was just
sorry,
looking
sorry.
at the details
We're now
on it.
back in,
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve application number 24.071, an application to rezone acreage from A20 to RR1 in the tunnel zoning area extending 250 feet from the property's edge.
I'll second it.
okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Newton and a second from Commissioner Blocker. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Why did Adams Love not come tonight?
He mentioned that he had something that he had to do he couldn't get out of, and I mentioned that we could either put it on and you might continue it if you wanted to ask him questions, or it might go through.
Okay. All right. Thanks for stopping me. Now we're to Honorable Kate.
I am
Becker.
not honorable. Honorable past tense. Honorable retired. One, just want to give a shout out to Carrie Gibson in our audience today. Happy first day of legislation. I know, the lack of sleep begins. And, right? What are we paying? So this is a list that's compiled by WFRC. We send this to them annually. This is what we submitted last year. Wanted to know if you wanted to submit anything back, any different changes, etc. But these are the priorities that were given to WFRC for focus on grants and their focus as well. So.
Okay, I have a question for you. The only thing I don't see on here that number 2, project number 2 is okay, but we don't have anything here about the safe streets, which we're going to be talking about later. But to the WFRC, if these are going to them, trails, the highways, along the highways, would be nice for us to be involved, or not be involved, but have them, allow them to assist us in maybe some of the planning grants for that.
So just to reiterate, this is what you submitted in 2024.
Right. Okay.
So she's asking
This
what we
isn't
want
this
to add
year's.
to.
This is what you
That's what
sent
I'm
last
adding
year.
to it.
Yes.
I'd like to add that to
Okay.
that.
So and you want that under outdoor, like in project
No,
2?
not in, well, it
Or
could be
as
a
a
part
completely
2
different
or just
project?
as a complete different one, because UTN is meeting this week, I think, where they are going to be discussing what projects are ready to be started or to be, to delve into, or if there's any planning grants that they need to assist us in. And so if WFRC is behind those, then we get further.
So
with UTN.
So you want to add the Safe Streets for All projects? And was there another one?
And the trails.
And the
Do we
trails.
need to add Safe Streets for All in this? That's a separate grant program.
That's a separate
That's
grant
not part of
program.
this.
Yeah. Well, actually, if
it?
this is one that goes to WFRC, so that they can concentrate on, they need to be aware of that, so that they can put an emphasis on those different projects, even the SS4, the Safe Streets for All. Along with that, they need to be able to see that we are seriously, we would like help with trails.
Well, isn't that what the
Outdoor rec is?
Outdoor
number
rec.
12, that grant
Yes, but
is
that's a
for?
different one.
No.
Okay. That's not?
Yes and no.
No.
When I was
We
reading through it, it was about biking on the side of the roads.
Go eat the number 12 on consent agenda?
Oh, it was for
That's our small
planning,
business
huh?
grant. That's our
under the economic
$200,000
That's the
community and economic
CEO.
opportunity. That's our CEO board that.
I wonder what I was reading.
To give you an update, so today I could not go because of the time, but the UTN vision plan was today. Josh Bond attended.
Good.
And his comment back to me was, that was a great meeting and exciting to represent Morgan County. I was able to sit at the same table with a lot of decision makers. I have a lot to report back and feel they have a good idea of what our plan is in Morgan County. They will also be looking to set up a meeting with us in the near future.
Okay, good.
So I'm very grateful that Josh was able to attend, but I thought no one would be
Me too.
more passionate about our trail plan. And there was no way I could be back here by 4, so.
Can you say what UTN means for us?
Oh, I'm sorry, Utah Trails Network. So it was our regional meeting. It was in Ogden, but it was an on-site meeting, and it went until, I believe, 4:30. So he just emailed me at 4:52.
Do safe streets include crosswalks?
I can send you, yes, I can send you the whole big report of it that WFRC did last year. I'll make a note to do that. Okay. So back to the topic on hand. You don't, we are or are not adding the SS4A, the Safe Streets for All
I think we need to have that
projects,
also.
okay.
So there's basically 2 more items. Safe Streets for All is one. Need that stuff in Mountain Green. That's a big area.
Okay,
And the trails in that area also.
okay, so are you talking about the trail?
highways.
Oh,
I
okay,
mean, we're supposed to, with UTN, they're only gonna work on the ones near the highways, the state highways, and not on our Morgan County roads. They'll just work on the ones that are state highways. So that one would have to be something we have to state as something we would like to have or be a bit able to have, is to have more discussions on that, whether they can give us any money for planning, because we don't have it yet for that.
so we are in discussions with UDOT right now on, connecting the Trappers Loop Trail to Mountain Green to Morgan with those little sections along the UDOT right of way. So is that what you're talking about, is adding that project into
That
this?
would be
Okay.
part of it, yeah. And the other one is the big project, but that's down the road, and that's the one going through the canyon. That's between 3 counties,
Okay.
and they're aware of that.
Okay.
That is if we want to do that.
So then I'll bring this back to you next meeting, but is there anything else you'd like me to add?
I think we need to do one, I don't know if this one's to WFRC, but one that I think we really need to concentrate on is what we're gonna do with the Taggart area. Whether or not we're gonna make a recreational park.
That's
up there.
just under outdoor recreation.
Okay, that's fine.
I don't know whether it's beneficial to have more projects listed or less projects listed.
I like what
So this was a spreadsheet with all of the WFRC participants, and so obviously some counties had like 40, and we had 3. So I don't think there's too many to have, if that's your concern. Okay, I have my marching orders on that one. The next one, Commissioner Newton asked me to add to the agenda, and thank you for forwarding me that information. Can you go to the, oh, he's gone. Hold on.
Do you want
Can
me
you
to
move
talk
the
about
screen
what I
3 down?
understand from it?
Yes, please.
So, Matt, you might get these emails
Page
moving
111.
forward, but I got emails from 2026. No, 2020. Yeah, 2026 is our nation's 250th birthday, and so they're doing some projects across the country and asking for support to be part of those activities and projects. So they sent over a sample resolution to us, basically saying that we're going to participate in commemorating the 250th anniversary of the
So it will
of our
require,
country.
creating a committee, a community committee for, and we can name it anything. I just put Morgan County, Utah 250 Community Committee, because that's what the template said, but you can name it whatever you want. And that obviously subcommittee will work with the other committees that are being developed throughout the state of Utah.
So right now, there's no funding requirement for anything here, and I actually think there'll be some state and federal funding to help with this program, depending on what they end up doing. So it's really just deciding if we're going to participate or not.
I would say yes.
I would think we'd want to.
I would think so too, but
Yeah, it was great reading through all of that.
There's a lot going on, and there's a huge committee that they've got in the state. I think you were in that meeting I was in on this 250 year. And I think according to the information, there's supposed to be a committee that we set up here in our county.
yeah, so that is part of this. We're committing to put together a committee of folks that would participate in this, and I think their plan is to have some like community activities that will tie in with other counties in the state. So could be an
So I
interesting
imagine
thing.
our
Chamber.
committee would meet with other
Probably other
committees.
committees in the state to talk about what they would do and how they would do it.
It sounded very similar to Pioneer Days.
Yeah.
Kind of a celebration. They
But
might
it'll be on the 4th, right?
do a parade or a whatever, I don't know, but some kind of community activity. And it may be something we could tie in, with our Front Street Festival or something like that in 2026 when we do.
Why don't I mean,
4th of July.
4th of July.
4th of July
Well,
chamber
yeah,
work.
that's true. That's when it would be, I guess, is the 4th of
why-
July.
When did that happen?
4th of July, that's when our independence is. 250 years.
Just kind of make it a bigger, grander thing than.
That's when we made it
Get it bigger.
public, so maybe we could do the 2nd of July to commemorate the real day.
I think that the chamber would appreciate it if we got some help
Yeah, oh, I'm
that
sure.
would help them in their endeavors of that 4th of July in particular.
And there might be education things that could be done throughout the year.
Yeah, like Camp Freedom.
Yeah, or Constitution Day,
That's right.
even though it's not 250 from that.
Right.
There might be different things that could be done.
So, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve Resolution CR 25-07, supporting the America 250. Supporting America 250.
Second.
Have a motion from Commissioner Newton and a second from Commissioner Fackrell. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Lydia Nuttall would be awesome on this committee.
Mm-hmm. Katie, oh, sorry, someone else is driving. Page 124.
Opposed, unanimous.
So I think probably next step would be to determine what that committee looks like, and then
Okay.
At least 7 people.
So this was at the request of Commissioner Blocker. This email came out from Wasatch Front Regional Council stating that in addition to the Safe Street for All grants that we were all able to apply for, WFRC was awarded $224,000 for supplemental planning grants for this project, and there was discussion on us applying for the supplemental grants and what to apply for.
This is what I was reading.
Ah. So, Commissioner Blocker, do you want me to punt that to you?
I think actually Blaine, he chimed in first and then I chimed in. I was thinking that the area to study would be North Highlands Drive and Old Highway Road.
In that, Commissioner Anderson and I were the ones in that meeting, along with Public Works and other people, Public Safety. We were in those meetings where they had actual data on all these different things that were happening in our county. We're lucky that we have not had a lot of major big things except for the canyon. But there are areas that we need to work on in our county as safety areas. Our biggest area right now, the biggest area there that they had mapped out was Highway 66 and down on Trappers Loop, Old Highway connection. And that's one of the areas that we want to put in, or we're going to have the interchange in there, but we also need to have, we might need crosswalks, we might need safety lights, we might need temporary things until we can get the whole infrastructure done for the interchange. But what they're asking for is just to see whether or not we want to do a safety plan, at least from what I remember last year.
Correct. So
Yeah,
this
they want to
cannot be
know if we
used for
want to be
construction or
included.
implementing safety improvements.
Yeah. So that would be to go along with what we've been trying to do for a couple of years now.
do we know what the financial commitment is?
20%.
20?
20% of whatever they award us. So if they've got only $224,000 for the whole Wasatch Front Region,
They're probably not going to award us a whole lot.
they're going to give us $20,000, or maybe 30 or 40 to go, and it might cost about 30 to 50,000 for a engineering company to come in and do that plan for us in the different areas that we may need it. Like last year, we applied for the one through the federal government for the safety. Let's see, it was for the road signs, the flashing digital road signs that would tell people to slow down, and also for a trail feasibility, and we did not get it, as far as I know. And so this could go along with that. And I think if we were to get a plan along those items of where we, a matching grant to do this, I think we could end up maybe getting those monies to take care of those items.
So the ask of WFRC in this letter is just that we send a letter of intent by January 31st if we intend to participate in the RSA study, the road safety audit study grants. So I'm assuming, sounds like the answer is yes. Okay.
Looking for a motion on this?
Because it does, granted, we haven't applied for it, but if we do, it would be with the intent that we would have to pay a 20% match.
And those funds for that particular thing could come out of that additional sales tax that we received from that we're receiving in the 22-19 and 22-17 monies that have been coming in. That's where I would suggest the money to come from.
Agreed. Is that a motion?
Yeah, if you'd like me to make a motion, I move that we direct staff to go ahead with the implementing the letter and information to the WFRC for the Safe Streets for All comprehensive safety action plan.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Fackrell and a second from Commissioner Blocker. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes.
So that's the last of our action items. I do have a few quick things, if that's okay, Chair.
Sure.
First is thank you to the Chamber. They fed our Sheriff's Department today in their monthly meeting. If we didn't give you any heads up, but we do every week send a letter to all 5 commissioners, or an email of all the checks that are pending being cut. Please feel free to review those. We cannot physically cut the checks until we have 3 signatures. So if you get phone calls from us, it's usually because we have 2 and we're waiting on that last 3, because it makes no sense to process the checks if we don't have a quorum to vote on cutting them. So that's what those emails are. And then Chair Wilson brought up that he is interested in attending the National Association of Counties legislative conference. That is the last week of legislative session here in Utah, but that would be in DC. And then that brought forward a discussion on since next commission meeting, we will be discussing the county employees travel and training policy. Wanted to know if we wanted to add anything to that specifically for the commission. Because right now, y'all just sign up for conferences at will. And so I don't know if you want to discuss that tonight or if you want to discuss that with the travel and training policy next.
Well, if we're going to discuss it next week or next meeting.
Well, I'll have a policy being presented for approval, but I won't have any language in that about.
Okay, so I think we ought to discuss what we might want to put in it then.
We couldn't find it.
I don't know that it was a written policy,
Yeah.
but the unwritten policy when I first started was that you would let the commission know of the conference you wanted to attend, would get a vote. I think that could be done just through the consent item now. You know, you could just put it on there, and then the county attorney would sign off on the travel reimbursement fund or form. I don't know.
And I
if
do
that's-
sign off on the form, but I don't know that there's any votes or
There isn't
approval
now, or
of
hasn't
things
been,
since
but
I've
that's what
been
it
here.
was.
But I do sign it to just check mileage and all that stuff. But I
Just-
didn't understand why I would, except for maybe
Okay.
because of that policy. That makes more sense.
But apparently it was unwritten. That was just what was explained to me. I never read the policy, but that's what they did.
And we couldn't
Kinda
find a
got-
policy.
And I don't know what the rule is as far as, I mean, I can use some of my air miles and stuff like that to do my air and
There's no
things
rules
like that.
on that. I think it was more what you and I talked about is, you know, I'm gonna go.
We have a
we
budget
have a
and we need to
budget,
stay in our budget.
But there's 5 of us, and if I use all the budget, you know, to go to 2 conferences without everyone else's buy-in of, hey, but I I need to go to this Trails conference, or I need to go to this UAC annual conference, or what have you, then there's really no continuity of how you guys are spending that.
In my opinion, the policy ought to probably follow the employee policy in terms of, I assume that policy addresses what's appropriate in terms of distances that you can do mileage and hotel costs and flight costs and that sort of thing. I guess the only portion that would be different is who gives approval rather than
Like
your
in my
department
office,
head.
I have to look at my budget and I say, okay, well, to get Janet and me our training, we'll probably choose 2 each a year. And then for Kim and Dana, you know, it might be 2, and then a victim virtual. Like we kind of manage it in office. I think the difference is you've got 3 of 5 instead of, you know, 1 person that's managing it for everyone.
Well, it's not like it's a secret when these conferences are. I think we could look at the conferences we'd like to attend and present them.
It might just
soon.
be a communication
Yeah.
of saying, hey, these are the ones throughout the year that I'd like to go to, and then say, okay, in the budget, we can do all of them that everyone's requested, or, oh, we'll have to cut out.
And I would love to see a report when they come back. I don't, you know, what did you learn? What helped our county? What, it's not worth going to, you know?
Agreed.
I think that'd be great if Matt could go to that national meeting.
And
Dinner
then
County.
also the WIR one too, which is part of NACO. That one's a good one too.
Western Regional?
That's the Western
I was actually on
Interchange.
one-
It's
I was
in
on one of their
Oklahoma
meetings
this year?
last week.
Yeah.
It's just a WR,
Yeah.
Kate was telling me about it, and so I logged on to their meeting. It was pretty interesting to hear, you got people from California, from Oregon and Washington, just kind of,
Wyoming.
here's what we're seeing, the issues that we're having, and it's really to our area, our region, the western part of the US. And so the WRIR seemed pretty,
And there's a lot of eyes going to be on Utah this year since we are suing the federal government.
yeah.
So, because they all want to do it, but I think they're like, all right, Utah, you first.
Where is the conference for the WIR this year?
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma. Yeah, and I think it'd be worth it to go if somebody to go. Not necessarily say I need to. That was probably my
So
least
I
favorite.
will
one I
say,
went to.
as a avid NACO attender, if you are going to go to NACO,
WIR.
Yeah.
if you're going to
Western
go to NACO,
Interstate.
Matt, you're going to want to get your hotel booked yesterday. Otherwise, you're going to be off-site.
We offer 2 hotels.
They offer 2 hotels. So the Hilton is the main one, and everything's in the basement. And it's DC in February, DC traffic. So the other hotel's across the street,
Cold.
and it's a suicidal run across the street to get back across the building.
Nothing that's $800 a night. I don't want any of that.
It's not. It's not. And that was my fault. I swore
What are you talking-
they told me $800, and I thought 800 total. I didn't know they were saying 800 a night. And I was like, ooh, it's not cheap. I think it'll cost you about $1,600 in hotel. It's DC.
Is what it is.
Well, and these are the things where I think if you come back and you're like, this was wonderful, and then we can adjust the budget for the following year
Mm-hmm.
and can see is it really worth it. And so that's what I think the report. I know in the school, anytime we go somewhere, we're required to come back and be like, what was the quality? You know, what was it? What did you do? And kind of give them a report to see if it was actually worth spending the taxpayer dollars to do it. It's not just a vacation. But that kind of goes. So if I want to go somewhere, I have to justify why they're going to pay me. So I think it's a great idea to have a report.
Yeah.
I think with showing the employees that want to go out of state or these things that the commission's following the same rules.
Mm-hmm.
You know that, Raylene wants to go somewhere. Okay, what do you want to do? I mean, not that we're going to
The one in Hawaii?
NACO wasn't
There's a great
Hawaii.
one we need to
and
go
Our
to.
budget's
I saw
not
it.
that big, I can tell
forgot
you
what
that.
year that was, but
But I know exactly what you're going to do. You're going to sit in meetings all day long, and then at the very end, it's you're going to go meet all your legislators and advocate for all these
Yeah,
things
NACO's
they've been teaching
awesome.
you about in the
Really?
meetings.
yeah. I like NACO Ledge more than NACO Annual, and I love WIR. So,
See, I was thinking like WRR, that one. As I got into their meeting, I was kind of listening. Got pretty impressed with just how they really focused on the needs of. It seemed like it was more of the rural areas, kind of our kind of people. And and the needs and what's coming down from the federal government, how they're going to deal with it. I've got some notes that I can share with you talking about this. It's kind of a treat, right? And I thank Kate for letting me know about that.
And I do have all of you registered. Blaine registered himself, but I have everyone registered. And I think most of our electeds are attending Day on the Hill. So, if you want to carpool. And that's all I have. Unless you want Carrie to get up and give us a spiel. No, that's not.
Okay, thanks, Kate.
May I ask Kate an item?
Yeah.
Have we done, or do you know if they have made any progress on two things within the planning department for STRs yet, or for storage containers?
STRs is on Janet's desk. Storage containers, I do not believe so.
Okay.
Did we test?
I know it's not on Janet's desk, the storage containers.
But did we
But
task staff to do that?
I don't recall.
I don't think we did because the discussion was that it's not a structure.
But we don't have a code in there that allows us to have those. And so we directed planning to, with that discussion that happened last year.
I remember the discussion, but I don't think there was direction
Okay, I
to
will-
change the code.
I'll check
The
the
discussion
minutes.
was they're not a structure, so we don't regulate them as a structure.
I thought we had to go, according to what Josh was saying, we had to go.
Maybe he
We had to
remembers
change the
differently.
code.
I don't know.
I will check the meeting. That one was not on my radar, but I know that
STRs,
STRs.
I mean, STRs is a big subject right now, and with us doing, I mean, I know you're working on it, but.
Well, our what we have to fix first is our business license process,
Right,
and we
and
are
that's-
literally we are
Okay.
knee deep in that. And so once that's fixed, then we will do STRs.
Have
I
the
mean,
next
some of the big
discussion.
concerns of the Mountain Green area, they were saying, well, we've already got all these STRs, people come in, if we go and put in more, then we're gonna turn more of them into STRs, and, you know, those are some of the biggest complaints I'm receiving, is we don't have any regulations, really. I mean, we've got some, but not enough, we don't have enough grit into it. I mean, somehow or another, we've got to,
And a lot of that's the business license process.
And as far as an STR ordinance, it's a very complicated situation of how do you restrict someone's land in a way that doesn't take away their rights, but still allows for community community interaction. It's a really tough puzzle.
Okay.
And there's a lot of different jurisdictions that handle it different way and are going through different lawsuits. So, yeah, it's coming, but it's quite difficult.
okay. All right, is the state doing anything on that, does anybody know?
I think
Carrie?
there's a good lobby for STRs at the state. I'll just say that.
Okay, good.
Pro
Well,
STR?
I don't know if
They-
that's
they
good
won't-
because it's
yeah,
hard
they-
on the county to regulate when
They're not going to restrict
they have a
them.
really good lobby allowing a lot of things and not allowing counties to restrict.
What has Washington County done? Because they have certain areas where those are short-term rentals and then other areas where they can't. So how have they
It's the
done-
cities.
The individual cities have done it?
So like the city of St. George does not allow them, but the city of Washington does.
So, okay. 'Cause I was kind of curious, because I know certain areas, like, this is where they all are.
In some areas,
It's-
they only allow a certain amount
Right.
In certain areas, yeah.
And I think that's where some of the lawsuits are brewing of, okay, can you do that? And I think I would just say an all or nothing is probably easier to defend than trying to carve out how many and who can, and because then it's like, well, you're allowing it, just not me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I
so
can
that
see
that's
They're
where it's
complex
complicated.
systems to run too, because you have to.
And 300
Regulating
feet
that's not
apart
easy.
or whatever the distance between each one, well, just then that's because my neighbor set one up but they raced to it before me. Now I'm restricted, and maybe they pass away or they sell and then I'm first one in. I think it's all those things that I know Janet's being very careful And I think that that's a good thing, just so we have something good coming out.
And Katie and Penny are working on that. If Katie, do you have anything to add into a microphone? You have to speak into the microphone.
Okay, I just wanted to add that I did go to a conference in St. George this last year about business licenses, and I asked a lot of questions about short-term rentals and asked what other counties and cities are doing, and they do have a lot higher regulations, and I do agree. I know my opinion's not, but I do agree. There needs to be much higher regulation and fees to hone in on the amount of short-term rentals.
All right, thank you.
Did I answer or not answer your question? I have a note to
No.
look up the storage
fine with
containers, and then we gave you the status update on STRs.
That's fine.
Was that your commissioner comment?
Nope.
Oh,
No, I still have others in that, sorry.
okay, no. Okay, we'll move to commissioner comments. And just so we remember, the most important things, KISS, keep it short.
You've still got 2 hours till your bedtime.
But my dinner time's
Your
right now.
dinner time's in an hour and a half, so, well, I'm gonna, in my commissioner comments, I'm gonna, show you something.
So,
Salivate.
no, it's important that we share what is going on in our meetings and our portfolios, but we don't need we can hear the Reader's Digest versions of them, because some of them are pretty long meetings. Okay, Commissioner Blocker. And we don't care if you don't have anything, it doesn't make us feel bad.
Are you saying you don't have
No.
anything?
I'm just saying,
I just
you don't have to
wanted-
feel bad if you don't have something, that's all I'm saying.
Okay, I don't feel bad, but I just wanted to touch on this, and I did send an email. Lieutenant Governor's office is looking at changing the county classes, which would move us from a 4th to a 5th. And digging into that a little bit, I mean, you would lose funding in that, your population is considered lower. You'd lose some type of funding. In other ways,
Get more.
you could gain
We're gonna
funding.
get more.
But on all the research I've done and asked, you're going to lose more than you gain
No.
due to your
Tell
population.
us how.
Population-wise.
No, because our population stays the same. We do not lose a thing. Our population is still 13,000 according to the
But your
sales tax.
class will be
But the
5th.
class doesn't mean that when you go lower in class, we get more money.
I don't know if
There's
you found out
more,
anything.
there's more opportunities there.
opportunities.
Is
I
there
don't know
more?
that it'll pass though, because the one that's running the bill is
I hope it
from,
does.
you hope it does?
I hope it passes.
I don't know if it will, because there seems to be specific carve-outs that benefit a specific county that would go to a 3rd class. And so I don't know. I mean, it's possible it could still pass.
Does he happen to be from that county?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of it that goes from, some of those 2nd class counties or 3rd class counties don't want to go into the 2nd class, and some of the 2nd
Well,
class don't go in.
it would take a 2nd into a 3rd,
Yeah.
is really what it is. But
Yeah.
not all 2nds into 3rd, just one. But it is beneficial overall. The higher class county you are, the more requirements on you.
Yeah. And then
Except
you-
even with the Senate Bill 174.
But I
that
thought
we-
it was by population, though.
Well, but we
but
can't
it's also
change
by where they see, class is determined by population. But for example, with SB 174, they looped Morgan County as the only 4th class that had to comply by February of last year, because the state is pushing development, or they want to see a lot of development in certain counties, and we were the only 4th class county that had to be on the streamlined deadline.
Okay.
And
Katie
s-
Miner says it's not, as cut and dry as you might think it is, but ask your county attorney. So that's what I did.
Yeah.
I
And
don't
think
know if the legislation, I don't recall if it ended up passing, but several years ago when they were doing the legislation to force our change in form of government, part of that legislation said that fourth and fifth class counties would automatically have a 3-member commission. And originally it said fourth class counties, and I actually went down and testified before the committee and said, please exclude fourth class counties from this. We don't want that. And they ended up doing that, but I don't know if that's changed. If so, that could really affect us real fast. If they require
in a 5th class county a
3-member commission in 5th class county. That was part of the legislation, but I don't know if it passed at the time.
And right now,
Carrie might. Do you recall if that ever passed? Yeah, I mean, if that changes our form of government, that's a pretty big change for us.
well, the form of government is,
They ended up doing the 5th and 6th class.
and the bill this year, they're trying to get it together. You were on that meeting too, where they're trying to get not the class, but some of the counties, the larger counties, population-wise, want to have more representation, so they want more than 3 commissioners. They want 5 or 7, depending on which one it is, and they want to be able to do it without an executive, and they want to be able to appoint different people within their area to help each one of those commissioners out, and so they're wanting to do that. So things are going to change this year, possibly. And they did not have a bill attached to it yet, a bill number. So hopefully in the meeting this week, they'll have a bill number.
I will track that though through the session and do some more research as we go through. The break is at 15 though, and so I don't know if there is maybe a grace period built in there, and with the development, we may be over that sooner than we know it. So it may not impact us.
I think it's HB 176,
They haven't got it done yet.
amendment, county classification amendments.
That's the one for the class of counties, but the other one as far as commissioners.
That's the one she sent
yeah.
me.
You're correct.
Yeah, I would hate to think that 6 months later you're changing a form of government again.
It does look like, I don't see that ended up in the final legislation, so maybe it's not a part of it.
No.
That was legislation back in 2017. Anyway.
Okay. I'm surprised you remembered the first part of that. I guess you had to testify, so that brings it forefront.
Sticks in my mind because of that. We got looped into that and got told that it was the 11th hour, and we found out that they were going to force us to be a 3-member commission, and we were super excited about that. So.
That's when you were 7.
What's that?
Were you 7 at that point?
No, this was in 2017.
Oh, that was way along. Hmm.
Anyway.
That's it.
That's it. Okay. Commissioner Newton.
Update on our solid waste. The new recycling cans, the first order of those will be delivered in early March. And the plan is to start rolling those out. They're hoping to do about 50 per day. They'll start probably in the Porterville area and work their way this way. So anyway, more to come, more information will go out to the public about that, but the recycling program will begin. We still intend to probably start invoicing for that starting about June. So it'll take a little while to get all the cans out and set up. That's the plan there. Speaking of solid waste, Wasatch Integrated Waste We have a board meeting next week. One of the agenda items in that board meeting is the discussion of a potential rate increase. Right now, we pay $7.20 per household can to them as a disposal fee. There's talk of potentially increasing that by $1. So even if they did that, we will still should be within that range. We should still be okay with the fee increase that we recently did that will include the trash, or excuse me, the recycling. But wanted you to be aware. I'll let you know how that goes and if it passes or not.
Wonder why they didn't mention that at their meeting, at our meeting.
There's been some discussion of rate increases, but it's been slow. I will note that in 2010, the rate 2008 or 2010, the household rate was over $10, and they actually brought it down to the they brought it down as low as $5.20 at one time, and then they increased it a couple of years ago, 2018, I believe, to the $7.20 that we're at now. That was when they built the new material recovery facility. But so there is some discussion of increasing. Part of that increase is that where we have to haul our trash now, our agreement with the landfill where we're currently disposing of most of the household waste is up. That landfill is owned by Waste Management. Wasatch Integrated has ownership in another landfill that's down, called the Bayview Landfill. It's down west of Utah Lake. And so costs to haul to that landfill are going to be slightly higher than they were to haul to the previous landfill. So.
Hopefully oil drilling will help our gas prices.
Yeah, and that could help our hauling costs potentially, because we do pay a little, when fuel prices are high, we pay an extra amount to our fuel surcharge. So. Anyway, that's the update on solid waste. Any questions?
Just the meetings like with Wasatch Integrated, as an alternate, is that something we should both be going to?
So you're welcome to attend. They don't have an alternate seat at the table, if that makes sense, for those that are part of it. There's 18 member entities, most of which are cities, Morgan County and Davis County, and then all of the cities in Morgan and Davis County, with the exception of Bountiful. Yeah, Bountiful is not a member. They have their own landfill. Everybody else is a member. So they don't have, alternates don't come to those meetings, but you can come and observe and sit there and listen, and if I'm not there, I'll let you know. But yeah, we do a committee meeting once a month. That's just a group, and then board meetings are once a quarter. I was elected 2 months ago to sit on the executive committee for that too. So there's a 3-member executive committee with Wasatch Integrated, which is the chair, the vice chair, and the secretary. I was elected to the secretary seat for that. It's typically a 3-year commitment because they move people up every year into that. And actually, to my knowledge, that's the first time that we've had a representative on the executive board, because it's so Davis County heavy. We're kind of the stepchild there. But anyway, so we do have good representation there, and they've been very good to us. I will also share that the director of Wasatch Integrated, Nathan Rich, has submitted his resignation. He's retiring in June, so he's given us plenty of time, but they'll be doing a search for a new director of that organization. That's all I had.
Okay.
That was not the Cliff Notes version, though. Well, I guess it sort of was.
That was great.
Be quicker.
Appreciate whoever's putting barbecue on our
I was gonna say,
screens.
you're killing me here.
I am. Well, you wanted dinner.
Okay, Commissioner Fackrell.
Okay, I just wanted to let everybody know this is just something that happened in December. This was sent to me by one of our eateries in town. And as you can notice, it's a national organization. I do not know them. He does not know them. He does not recall anybody coming to his place, but the Smoking Boxcar was ranked number 2 in the nation as one of the best barbecue places in the nation. And that, so I just thought it would be good for everybody to see this and for the public to see it. But there's the list of the top 20 barbecue restaurants in the U.S., and we have one from Utah, and it's ours. And and like he says, he did not know who it was. He just knows that it came up. Somebody sent this to him, Jack over at the Smoking Boxcar, and he's been very pleased. So for those that are in the economic development, you may want to put that in and recommend that just as one of the businesses. So the other things I had were just 2 other items. I just want to give a thank you to Kate for getting the agenda out early. I was able to review it on Friday, and it was very, very nice, and thank you. I very much appreciate it. And I just want to say thank you to everyone else, for not just you guys, but for the other elected officials for attending the different like policy steering committees and the different events that are around. It makes my job a whole lot easier, and I can sit back and relax a little more. So thank you. I don't have to try to attend everything. That's all I have.
Okay. And that's a good reminder for us, whether you're primary or alternate, please, if you're primary and you can't be to one of your meetings, make sure you let your alternate know so they can go. That's why we have each other. So, okay, Vice Chair Nickerson.
I just had a couple of things. As I was going over the agenda, my brain went a little haywire, and so I update county priorities, list of projects, capital improvements. And I started thinking about a couple of things from back during the budget. And a couple of those things that came up that was in my head was the clerk auditor's office, and that there's mandated by the state to get those done, and that there's state money kind of tied to those, and that money's going to get running out. So if we don't get moving on that, and the one at the sheriff's office, and for some reason I was thinking that now that I'd bring it up then, but what's that? Oh,
I have an update on that if you want it.
Okay.
So we're, in order to do that, it's just fiscally so expensive. So we're thinking about doing some office roulette and moving some offices around, which would allow for the clerk's office to actually take over the court building that's directly next to them, which is already secure. But then we still have to move Koy Ann's office somewhere. But
no, that was just, like I said, that was some things that, when we were talking about capital improvements and that kind of popped in my head from back when we were doing the budget. I just wanted to make sure that we were moving on a couple of those items that were mandated before the state money runs out, and we're just left hanging, holding the entire bill. The other thing is, after our last commission meeting, or during, there was a comment made that the substation up in Mountain Green was upgraded and good to go, which kind of caught me by surprise, so I made a couple phone calls. And I met with Rocky Mountain Power. I think it'd be good to have kind of a work session with them so that we know what the problems we have with power here in the county. There's problems kind of all over the place, and it stems with just how small our substations are. But just a quick little rundown. The Mountain Green substation is slated to be completed by June, July of 2026. They should have the transformer for that early spring of next year, so there will be nothing done on upgrading the power in Mountain Green for at least a good year. That should hopefully alleviate some of the power problems we're having down in Richville, Porterville. It's a customer of mine that during the heat of the summer, every day by 6 p.m., his phase to neutral voltages are dropping to about 94 volts, which, if you know anything about voltage drop and amperage rise and all that, causes some major issues. So I think it'd be good to just see if I can't have these people come in and maybe let us know what's going on, where it is, because they're concerned with fire, because if we drop the voltage on our transmission lines, that causes your amperage to go up. You overload those lines, they have a higher chance of catching fire and causing bigger problems. But it'd be good to hear from them. The people I met with were over the substations and distribution for our area of Rocky Mountain Power. So if that's something you guys would like, I can reach out and see if they come do a presentation on kind of what it's taking them, why they're so far behind on things. I'd be happy to reach out. So I did it on my own just to kind of find out, like, okay, I heard this and I haven't seen a thing happen. On the, you're familiar with that substation right by Lamb Drive? You know where that one is?
Yeah.
If anyone knows, it's just a little tiny. And they did tell me that the new substation will take the entire half-acre lot. It will be fence to fence, nothing like what it is right now. It's a teeny little thing. It will be massive to enlarge, to cover for development growth.
So how did
The-
how did the wires get crossed that it's all been?
I have no idea where he got the information that it was done. I have no idea. But again, that kind of, as an electrician, I'm like, I haven't seen, they've stocked a couple crates of parts over there, but nothing compared to what it's going to be. So that's where I started the phone calls. I was like, okay, what's really, but yeah, we're a year and a half before that substation will be upgraded.
Commissioner, would you just loop me in on that so I can get it scheduled?
Yes, I just wanted to get a direction. If that's something we want to do, then
I'd love to hear what they have to say about
okay.
what we've got approved already versus.
Because another thing, just a little side note, is on a new development. So what they told me is that, let's say somebody came in, hadn't got approved by Rocky Mountain Power to, their concept plan of their buildings, and they paid their money. They're a year and a half to 2 years before Rocky Mountain will set a transformer in that new development. They have no transformers available.
Wow.
So that.
Even residential?
Yeah, new development. So, like I said, if a developer goes in, again, this is what they told me last week. It was Thursday. He says, depending on the study, the developer comes in with a study. They come out and say, okay, this is what you're going to need on your development. We're a year and a half to 2 years to install transformers. Also, distribution may need to be upgraded. So even though they upgraded the substation at Mountain Green, the distribution coming out may need some massive upgrades to handle the different areas of Mountain Green, Richville, Porterville, all of that. So one of the things, what led to all of this was my customer down in Porterville was having major problems. And so Rocky Mountain came out and they traced it all the way back to the substation on Island Road. And they have voltage regulators they can turn up, and both of our substations are maxed out. They cannot turn them up. And they are, what I was told is anywhere from a year to 2 years to be able to even increase those voltage regulators, that they can't turn them up anymore in the near and foreseeable future. They'll be putting some equipment on the substation here and around the south end of the valley to monitor voltage drop as the summer comes on, because that's when the big thing is, when everybody starts turning all their air conditioners on. And he brought up electric car charging. Sorry, Blaine. That's just another draw that they didn't see 15, 20, 30 years ago when they did this infrastructure. So we have there is a major problem in Morgan Valley with the power. Wasatch Peaks Ranch has a really nice substation, and Rocky Mountain was told in no uncertain terms, you can't touch it, it's ours. They paid for it up. That is Wasatch Peaks substation. They have 6 circuits in there, and Rocky Mountain was told you can't have any of them. So they're hoping maybe in the future, as they start to get built out, that they'll be able to grab something to help Peterson, but it is Wasatch Peaks substation. Rocky Mountain just provides the power to it. So that was kind of the nuts and bolts of my discussion with Rocky Mountain. So,
wow.
But I'll get with Kate and I'll reach out to Rocky Mountain and see if we can't get a work session and just to kind of get or a presentation or something, so we can all be on board with what's going on with their. Because I think our development's not just water, it's not just sewer, but it's also power. Can they provide the quality power? Because right now in Porterville, Richville, they can't. That was proven this last summer with my customers' lights flickering and computers shutting off, and it causes major problems when your voltages are fluctuating like that. Rocky Mountain's required to provide within 5%. So if it's 120 volts, they can drop 6 volts, and they're dropping down to mid-90s. So they got a major problem. They're dropping 25 volts, so on their systems. Anyways, that's all I have.
Which that can affect some of our economic development.
Absolutely.
A lot of it, and it did stop Weaver County, and I don't know who told me this one. I don't know if it was Carrie or if it was Yuvon or whatever, but the Amazon, big building down there on
By West Haven.
West Haven, that area, the reason that is not even in service is because they can't find transformers.
They,
So, I mean, a big enough transformer to be able to do it.
So when I brought this up, this has been a little while ago, they were telling me that in order to build a new substation, those big transformers are anywhere from 5 to 6 years out. And so as we start, and that's kind of the thing with our development, as we start looking at this, it'd be nice to know that we're not compounding it and just adding to their problem.
Yeah.
It's just gonna get worse and worse. It's like, maybe this should be part of our plan, like, okay, Rocky Mountain's here, let's work with them and try to figure out, okay, both power, water, and.
Well, especially where
and
we've
sewer.
got this many subdivisions already approved.
Correct, and it's
I don't
not
know
a
where
thing
they're
to
at.
stop it. I spoke with Garrett just briefly before the meeting today. It's like, we don't wanna just be dumping this and compounding Rocky Mountain. Everybody's calling them saying, well, yeah, we've known about it. Well, why did the commission know about it and not do anything? And, you know, it's a serious issue. Because, like I said, the last thing we wanna do is have a major fire in our valley and caused by the power lines up on the mountain or along the freeways or whatnot. And then we've got California happening right here in our own backyard. And so it was just a major concern to me, so.
We have had a couple fires occur due to power lines. Bountiful City, gets their power, goes
Yes.
over the mountain there, and they had some lines come down. We actually reached out, this was a couple of years ago, we reached out to them and asked them to pay for the firefighting costs, and they did. They covered that, but thankfully it was small.
Right.
If it gets very big, you're in trouble.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Kate, can you tell me, have we made any, I know you've been swamped, so it won't surprise me if you haven't had a chance, but an update on the Weaver Morgan Human Services.
Weaver Morgan Human Services. No, they had a meeting last Friday that I was unable to attend.
They didn't ask me, I was there at the meeting, but
Where?
they didn't ask me about the monies or anything like that. I just wanted to see if we were
I
making
have a
any headway
meeting
on-
with them Thursday,
Oh, okay. Okay.
so no, I don't have an update.
Okay, will you let me just know?
Yeah.
And then
You're
local
welcome to
homeless
come.
council, thank goodness we don't have.
Code
When,
Blue.
when I was there, I texted Corey and asked him, and he said we haven't had any. We can take them down to their places, but we don't have any homelessness. Thank heavens we don't. So, when it's this dang cold, I feel horrible that there are people out on the street. Okay, well, we'll just end our meeting.
I move to adjourn.
Okay. We'll adjourn. Thanks. Tell it's the first day he shaved.